Across the vast landscape of biblical history, a single, radiant thread weaves its way through the centuries. It is a pattern marked by the number 12, defined by a brilliant spectrum of colors, and anchored in the unchanging promises of God. What begins as an invisible whisper of a covenant given to an aging patriarch eventually materializes into a multicolored coat, solidifies into 12 unpolished river stones, transforms into glittering priestly gemstones, and ultimately becomes the very architecture of eternity. When the structural lineage of the covenant transitions from the patriarchs to the nation of Israel, the architecture of the presence rests upon the stones of the breastplate. Long before they are set into gold, the foundational tracking begins with 12 unpolished rocks pulled out of the Jordan River. They serve as a permanent historical marker. When future generations ask, "What do these stones mean?" the elders can point back to the monument and recount the faithfulness of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Centuries later, the prophet Elijah would rebuild a broken altar on Mount Carmel using these same 12 symbolic stones, 1 Kings chapter 18, calling a divided nation back to this very foundation. When Jesus arrives in the New Testament, he mirrors the ancient pattern of Jacob to signal a new epic. Just as Jacob fathered 12 sons to build the physical nation of Israel, Jesus systematically chooses 12 apostles to form the spiritual foundation of the new covenant church. The multicolored diversity remains intact. Jesus calls tax collectors, zealots, and fishermen, fusing their radically different backgrounds into a singular mission. Through the apostles, the covenant expands beyond the geographic borders of Israel, carrying the vibrant, multifaceted gospel to every nation, tribe, and tongue on earth. This is the chronology of the 12-part, multicolored covenant, a divine masterpiece tracing the lineage of God's people from Abraham to the book of Revelation. The grand chronology reaches its ultimate destination in the final pages of Scripture. In Revelation chapter 21, the Apostle John is granted a vision of the New Jerusalem, heaven descending to earth. As John observes the architecture of eternity, the entire chronological thread snaps into perfect focus. The design of the Holy City is a permanent monument to the 12-part, multicolored covenant. The 12 gates. The city features 12 gates, and inscribed upon them are the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 foundations. The walls rest upon 12 foundation stones, bearing the names of the 12 apostles. The 12 precious jewels. John looks closely at those 12 foundations and discovers they are adorned with 12 distinct, brilliant gemstones. Jasper, sapphire, chalcedony, emerald, sardonyx, sardius, chrysolite, beryl, topaz, chrysoprase, jacinth, and amethyst. The exact gemstones that once rested on the chest of a mortal high priest in the wilderness now form the unshakable, glittering foundation of the eternal kingdom. From the starlit fields of Abraham to the translucent streets of the New Jerusalem, God's design remains unbroken. The chronology reveals that God does not view his people as a uniform mass of identical, gray clay. He views them as 12 distinct, glittering, invaluable jewels. Every struggle, every miracle, and every generation has been a deliberate progression of this divine artistry. The multicolored favor once given to a single son is ultimately transformed into the permanent environment of heaven, proving that what God promises to the fathers, he brilliantly fulfills for eternity.